This is a piece titled Levitation by the late Moebius. Like much of his work, this image has a surreal, otherworldly quality to it. Moebius was a French-born artist, cartoonist, and writer whose creative strengths lied in a wide range of science fiction and fantasy. He had a large contribution of concept design and storyboards in numerous sci-fi and fantasy motion pictures, like Tron, Alien, The Fifth Element, and The Abyss. He also has a very strong range of comic-based work, which really strayed away from the typical superhero comics that were dominating the market at the time. Moebius was even such a legend, powerhouses like Hayao Miyazaki drew inspiration from his work. Moebius's comic The Long Tomorrow was even the main visual key for Ridley Scott's Blade Runner. In 1956, he left art school to spend 8 months in Mexico with his mother. His time in the desert left an everlasting impression on him. The endless blue skies and never-ending plains drew much of his inspiration, and he described it as
something that has literally cracked the soul.
You can see that very lasting impression in Levitation, the expansive desert behind our main subjects in what seems to be some fantasy-based pueblos on the corners of the piece. Like much of his work, Levitation has a whimsical charm to it, and like any good piece, it makes you stop and try to piece together the story or narrative involved. We have our obvious levitating figure, which looks like Merlin the Wizard fused with a pair of electric green Air Jordans. There are 2 humans to the side, with the one on the left inspecting a piece of paper, and the one on the right opening what appears to be a sculpting cast of a face. Judging by their equipment and supplies, it would suggest that the 2 are artists, which begs the question of whether or not the levitating figure is in fact alive, or maybe a giant statue of sorts. Is he levitating by magic, or some contraption inside of the hole? The analogous colors of the floating sage and jade sky pop out from the subdued and gentle earth tones of the desert. Moebius has an exceptional skill at directing the viewer's eye with the color coordination. The chroma is greater on the blue and red generators, and the rich green of the sage draw attention from the equally detailed but less saturated elements surrounding them. Drawing attention to the generators would also reveal a cable or tube connected into the back of the green sage, which might suggest that they are the source of levitation after all. To further support that lead would again be the colors. Red, green, blue, or RGB are primary colors which often help draw focus to parts of a piece. Moebius deliberately creates importance between these objects in the work by using a color relationship. Color relationships are used so passively that it garners our attention without us consciously realizing. RGB and RYB color palettes are some of the most common attention-grabbing schemes, which is why 99% of businesses use them in their branding. Why do you think Blockbuster went out of business? Those idiots forgot to put red in their logo, which means it's only so long until Best Buy meets a similar demise. The piece reminds me of a couple of street artists in New York, showcasing their work, making a statement, or even just creating a form of illusion to play with the public's perception. It would be easy to compare Moebius's Levitation with Salvador Dali's The Persistence of Memory, since they both have surreal elements set in a relatively logical and real environment. But instead, I'm going to compare Levitation with John Singer Sargent's Madame X. They are 2 inherently different works of art, ranging in subject matter, style, and narrative, but underneath their wealth of differences is one common similarity, and that's that both works have a narrative. They both tell a story about a world, whether it be real or fictitious. They tell a story about a proud and wealthy woman who is too important to look the viewer in the eyes, but is promiscuous enough to dress shoulders exposed. A story about a world of engineers and sages, the blend between mysticism and human engineering, and the inherent irony of 2 average Joes celebrating and representing those ideas of magic and mysticism through calculated and mathematic engineering. The world even feels familiar yet alien all at the same time. Both works of art juxtapose ideas and challenge convention in their own respectful ways while telling a story. And in my opinion, that is one similarity that any great work of art can share regardless of its visual identity.